Hello and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher and we are pumped because there's a very exciting match that we are watching. We're here nice and early, although Australia start their World Cup campaign late. They take on Ireland and then later in the day, England take on West Indies. I'm here today joined by two people. I had to say this because I was waiting for them to come together on the show. They're two people who I've hugely admired on the ground, but I admire them much more off the field for being the true ambassadors of being gentlemen of the game. Welcome DK and Ajinkya. It's very nice to have you all here and I really do hope there are more people like you all both in this world. I'd planned this, so I had to say this because I wanted you all both to be here together. I know we're waiting for that nerve-wracking decision with regards to what's happening with Afghanistan, which I will find out. This is the first super over, guys, of the World Cup. So it's already started with a very, very exciting day. And I'm sure it's a very exciting day to follow. DK, आपने कल कहा था कि आपकी हिंदी तान्या जी के बाद नंबर 2 पे है. तो अजिंक्य हमारे साथ है. तर अजिंक्य आता आपण मराठीत बोलू कारण की हिंदी त्यांची तर वो मतलब उस्ताद है हिंदी में.
पता ही नहीं था यार. DK
बहुत कमाल का हिंदी में बात करता हूँ और लोग मैं चाहता हूँ कि मेरे से हिंदी में बात करें. अगर आपको हिंदी शुद्ध हिंदी नहीं आता है तो मेरे लिए ट्यूशन आ सकते हो आप.
ठीक है.
तो आपकी हिंदी तो बहुत शुद्ध है. मराठी येते तुम्हाला?
मला शिकतो.
ऑलराईट. अजिंक्य माहिती आहे ना तर काय आज मराठीत बोलायचंय DK बरोबर म्हणजे शिकतील.
आज है बाउंसर्स एंड गुगलीज.
And I've been a very poor player of spin for a long time.
All right, we have to go into what's happening today. We will give the updates on what's happening with that Super Over. But Australia start their World Cup campaign today. Ajinkya, DK, whenever we say Australia, there's just tension that builds up into an Indian fan's heart because of what Australia has done to us all through the 90s. Kids know the torture that Australia has given fans in ICC tournaments. But ICC tournaments in Australia, there's something about them. They come, put one switch on and they're just ready for this tournament. This time around, it's a little different for them because they're coming in not in the best form. They lost 3-0 to Pakistan. Their biggest defeat, 111 runs against Pakistan. In spite of this, since 2024, they've won 17 of their 24 games, but not coming into the best of forms. DK, how much of a challenge are they going to be to the favourites India this time around?
जो आप opener हो, please start.
See, Australia's I think record in T20s, you said 17 games out of 24. It's been really good. But the ICC events, I feel they've been really good in 50 over cricket and test cricket because their cricket is structured for the longer format. No, they are very well for them, the discipline factor, they structured their cricket around it. T20 format is about, it's very unpredictable. No, you got to have proper firepower, which they have. But Australia's team, I mean, in the past, they were more focused on getting the same players, from the Test and the ODI format into T20s. I feel for Australia, the challenge is, especially in the ICC events, as I said, unpredictable format. Anything can happen in knockout games. If you're doing really well through the league matches, but one bad over, couple of bad overs and you can lose the game. There's no way you can actually come back. They actually made a comeback in 50 over cricket or in test cricket because there's some time.
Yes.
I feel. So that's why I feel Australian T20, they're not doing so well like they used to do in 50 over format or in test cricket.
You know, Ajinkya, it's a very good point you say that because the T20 side for Australia, if you have a look at their records, they have won in 2021, but they've just not qualified. If you see the last 2 editions, we know that they didn't make it to the top 4, but they haven't been that dominant side like Ajinkya is saying, which we see in ODI cricket, DK.
It's quite interesting. I believe it's there in their DNA to win. You just go to Australia and there's almost no place for being second there. Be it Olympics, be it other sport. They just know what it takes to win. In fact, at the start of the IPL, I used to remember there used to be conversations among a lot of the coaches and support staff that you need to at least have 1 or 2 Australians because they just know what it takes to win. Now, when it comes to the T20 format, at the start, it used to be a bit of a, I can't use that word here, but almost like a fun thing that they used to play. They used to have their nicknames at the back of the shirt. They never took it as seriously as they were supposed to. Neither did the yesteryear players realize that this is where the format would end up as of today, because they used to play one-off T20s here and there in between series, but their focus was mainly Test cricket and ODI cricket. It's only after the 2007 World Cup it hit them in their face that, wow, okay, looks like this format will be something that we need to take a little more seriously. So from then on, they have started looking at this format a lot more seriously. Over the years, have they been good? Not the usual Australia that we associate them with ODI or Test cricket. But I must admit that for all their ignorance to an extent at the start, they have still ended up winning one World Cup in Dubai. They walked into that tournament almost having very little expectations out of themselves, surprised themselves. I thought they did phenomenally well. And then they didn't do really well in the next two World Cups, but you can be rest assured that Australia is a team which will do everything possible to get to the knockout stages and the semi-final stages. But sadly, this time they have a very depleted team. They have won too many injuries and they have a lot of issues off the field, which could come back to really bite them in the back, because their key players who could be missing. There's a lot of niggles around the corner, a lot of players coming back from injuries and playing this for as their first tournament. So they'll have a lot more questions than answers at this point of time when they take the field in the tournament.
Well, Australia have won the toss and they have opted to bat first. But you were talking about injuries and the team, and you started the conversation talking about how Australia just has that in them. It's a culture that they want to go and win everything they play. But Ajinkya, you're talking about injuries. We know what you did with a team filled with injuries that went to Australia in 2021. So it's also the hunger and it's the want to go and win, which Australia knows how to do very well.
Yes, I think Australia knows how to go in the big tournaments, ICC tournaments. What injuries are part and parcel of the sportsman's career, which are, you can't control those. I feel as a captain, as a team, whatever resources you have in that point in time, it's important to get best out of them. And having a good conversation, that's what helped me during 2021 series. That open conversation, that freedom allows you to go out there and play freely. As I said, Australia knows how to go in the big tournament. So I think they'll be looking forward to this.
Ajinkya, you had to have conversations, which today the Australian team has to have a lot of conversations because they don't have Mitch Marsh. We'll have a look at their playing 11. So their captain is out and there's going to be Travis Head who's going to be captaining. So again, they're coming into the World Cup campaign, Ajinkya, DK, with a whole lot of injuries. Is this the team you were expecting, DK?
No, definitely not.
It's a lot of names which are...
take their first 11 players, the main guys who will be missing out, Mitchell Marsh as we see, Pat Cummins, Josh Hazlewood, Tim David. So we're literally talking about 4 out of the starting 11 that they will be missing, which is a huge miss. Now, let's look at the positives for Australia. Matt Renshaw's had a good PBL. Cooper Connolly has actually done well in international cricket. Even in the ODI series against India, he played a very nice knock in Adelaide. He looks like a very sorted player. Got recently picked for Punjab Kings. He is on the upward curve. He's won the tournament, the BBL with Perth Scorchers. That's a good one. Josh Inglis, part of the Perth Scorchers team. And then you take Nathan Ellis, who's been outstanding for Hobart Hurricanes and in international cricket. Bartlett really grown. Kuhneman had a good tournament for Brisbane Heat. So they are a solid team with not as many big names as we are used to seeing. But I will always back Australia. I have a soft corner for them because they have it, I believe, in their genes. And they just know what it takes to push under pressure. And that attribute I quite like in them.
DK, it's so nice to have you here because we get all the leagues covered. Whatever is happening around the world in all leagues, we know because DK is
Makes our job easier.
Yeah, makes our job so much easier. But Ajinkya, it almost feels like this team, this Australian team is playing without like an insurance policy because they don't have their big three. Yeah. There's no, Stark, of course, retired, but no Hazlewood, no Cummins, no Stark. It just feels when you have to play a team like this, you feel like, okay, this is not the team which is that devastating team who's going to come out and really give us a lot of trouble. So on paper, you feel like, okay, we can maybe handle this team.
On paper, yes. But I think as DK said, Australia, basically, whenever they turn up on the field, when they cross that boundary line, they know how to switch on. They know how to go about it. So it's an opportunity. Yes, they will miss Josh Hazelwood and Pat Cummins, but I think it's an opportunity for other guys to do really well. But they are experienced with T20 format. No, BBL, most of them, they had a very good BBL. They know these conditions really well. So I don't think they'll be worried about the injury players, but I think it's an opportunity for everyone to start off their campaign really well on a positive note.
If you look at that 11, Saimi, I'll tell you which player I believe will be under a little bit of pressure. When I say pressure, just lack of runs, is Glenn Maxwell.
Yes.
He actually had a very ordinary BBL with the bat and to an extent with the ball as well. Stoinis wasn't bad. He was the captain of Melbourne Stars, did okay. Cooper Connolly started the tournament well, but not. But let me focus on Maxwell because I think he's at a very interesting, intriguing place. This could very well be his last tournament, international cricket tournament. He's retired from all other formats and he's chosen not to come to the IPL. So he's at that place, almost thinking, what am I going to do? I think when this tournament finishes, he has to make a call whether he's going to play leagues around the world, or I believe he has it in him to become a very, very good coach as well. How soon does he want to get into that port? But for sure, you can be rest assured, this is probably his last tournament.
But DK, there's always been discussion around Maxwell when he goes and plays leagues, but when he gets that yellow jersey on, something else happens to Maxwell. So we'll find out. But let's have a look at Ireland's playing 11 and see who their team is for today. Lots on the shoulders of their captain Paul Stirling there, but Ajinkya, is this the team that you felt is going to is the team they're going to go ahead with? DK, of course, you are another expert of the Ireland team, so we'll let you go ahead.
I quite like the fact that you said I'm an expert. I'll let me give it a go, but they've played the same 11 basically. What is good about that 11 is they had decent spinners who did okay, but their fast bowling is very dependent on the new ball. As they got to the back end, it was only Mark Adair who gave some sort of balance and stability. It was no one else who could support him. Now, if you look at the batting, and my biggest worry for them is the way they played spin. I thought they played the pacers quite nicely, but when they came to play spin, it was just glaringly obvious that they lacked the experience and the know-how as to how to do it in Asian conditions. If you look at Ross Adair, who actually started quite okay, but just didn't know how to rotate strike against their spinners. And now Sri Lankan spinners are quite good, so not quite very good to be fair. So it wasn't that easy. Paul Stirling. Now, he's a man that we need to speak about because walking into this tournament, if you looked at Ireland, everybody will say Paul Stirling, that's the guy. But actually, he's been in poor form for some time now. He actually hasn't got runs for a long time. And when he played the first game, it felt like he was struggling. So that will be a big miss. They're very dependent, and I'm sure we'll touch upon this player very, very soon, is Harry Tector. He is their key player. The rest almost revolve around him because he plays spin quite nicely compared to everyone else. Their batting stops at George Dockrell, not too much after that. So they've got few areas to address, but come on, it's Ireland. They're always going to compete, and the fact that they play World Cups will only make them get better.
But DK, you spoke about that spin bit where they have struggled against spin, especially in the subcontinent, and that's what Paul Stirling spoke about Ajinkya. He said that the spin is going to be challenging for us. After that last game, he said this, but considering you're playing in the subcontinent, and if they don't create this upset today, it's going to be kind of the end of their campaign for them. But there's no turnaround time for them. So how do you adapt to these conditions? Because you're here, you have to play spin in the subcontinent now.
See, I think preparation is the big part. Whichever tournament you're going into, preparation is a big part. But here, you don't get that much time to prepare yourself. I feel as a team, you know your weaknesses, you know your strengths. You have to back your strengths. If you don't get time for preparation before the tournament or during the tournament, I feel Ireland for them today is all about backing their strengths, going all out, whatever they know. Their game plan as a batting unit is always about going out there and freedom. As you mentioned, this is an important game for them. If they lose, they are out of the World Cup. So I think for them it's important to focusing on the strengths rather than getting too involved about the spin, how they go about the spin department. I feel as a batting unit, they just go out there and play fearless cricket.
Now, the good thing against Australia for Ireland is the fact that they're not going to come up against too many wrist spinners. Only Zampa. They have Maxwell, who's a finger spinner. So do they have Kuhneman, who's a left-arm spinner, again a finger spinner. Cooper Connolly, also left-arm spinner, finger spinner, and Matt Renshaw. All four of them are finger spinners out of the five. So they don't need to pick anything. They just need to react to the pitch nicely. So that will be their challenge. And as Ajinkya said, in a game like this, you'd rather focus on the strengths you possess than on the weaknesses you perceivably don't have at the moment.
But you know, Ajinkya is saying this, but I remember a time, I think it was either before the England tour or it was the Australia tour. I always used to nag him that I want to go see him practice. And he spoke about the conditions. In India, you don't get that kind of bounce. You can't practice the bounce you're going to get in England or that kind of swing conditions. So I remember in MCA, you were practicing. I had come and watched you. The conditions are not there here, but you have to prep yourself to play that, right? Because you have to go overseas and play those conditions. For Ireland, of course, it is still an associate member nation. I don't know how much time they get before a World Cup to practice, but again, they knew they're going to come and play spin. So do you think they should have worked on it a little more?
Ideally,
Just
I'm
letting
sure.
you know, it is 4 degrees or 3 degrees in Ireland. How will you practice?
Yeah, but even the way you all guys have practiced bounce.
No, at least in India, the infrastructure is available. I don't think there the wickets, the infra is available for them. For them, I think it's really difficult. And coming here just for 3 days and 4 days before the tournament, it's never going to be easy.
But what do they rough up the pitch and play? Is that the only
But
thing?
you can't do
Ireland,
that.
you can't do
Yeah,
anything.
you can't do that.
Right now, it
You
is
can't
probably
do-
snowing. At this point of time, they can play rugby if you want, not cricket. Their best chance is to come to Dubai and practice, which is what most of the associate nations do.
And-
but you need heavy funding for that. I'm sorry.
No,
but you need
please
proper
go on,
funding
go
because
on.
it's not an easy exercise. You need to spend a lot of money. Now, that is a different topic altogether. But you please continue with your answer.
No, so I just wanted to add something that if you want to do that, probably come 15, 20 days before to Dubai or India, which I feel again a big expense.
Yeah.
And if you are coming 3-4 days before, you are not going to get wickets like that. ICC will never allow to rough up the wickets, at least the practice wickets.
They'll give you a pitch which is better than having nothing, rather than what you get in Ireland. But it will not be similar to what you get in Sri Lanka or India for that matter.
Well, there's someone who's had a lot of practice.
What you can do is come to Shivaji Park, which is where Ajinkya practices. There you will get pitches which
are
will be
really
very
roughed
similar
up.
to what
Come to Mumbai Maidans, yeah, you'll get
Roughed up.
proper.
But someone who's really practiced a lot on Indian pitches because he loves playing here. He loves playing against India. And he is going to go out and bat there because Australia is batting first is Travis Head. We know what he does. When Head comes, well, he's also captain today, but when he comes out and he gets going, it's a nightmare for every opposition because there is just no stopping Head. 19th November, we'll not get there because it's hurt a lot of Indian fans. So we won't get to what happened on 19th November. But Ajinkya, when he comes out to play and he gets going as a captain, you don't know what to do because there are plans you've made and then you're completely derailed because he comes and you just have no time to set yourself in. This is what he does in the power play. Yeah. So as a captain, what do you do? Just hope for rain or what does one do?
I think to plan against Travis Head, I feel it's pretty very difficult. Very attacking batter, loves to go from ball number one, loves playing square of the wicket, hits spinner really well, and he's really good against short ball as well. So I think when batsmen like Travis Head, he comes in, I think as a captain, as a bowling unit, you always think about how can you get him out. But as I said, how much ever you plan during your team meetings or in the huddles, in the dugout, whatever, never works. I think it's important to be instinctive against him. Just as a captain, back your instinct and just get your best bowler in when he's batting.
Well, he's someone who backs his instincts, DK, because when Head is there, he's just kind of doing exactly what he pleases on that ground. And again, he's now with the red ball proving himself in that middle order, and then the white ball, he comes up at top and is just a nightmare for the opposition. Do you think he is probably one of the best all-format players right now?
For sure. Right now in the world of cricket, I don't believe there are too many all-format players, but Head is one of them, for sure. There is no doubt about it. I would put very few in that category who are able to manage and be successful in all three formats. It's one thing playing all three formats, but being successful or a world champion in all three formats is not easy. But Travis Head definitely makes it to that list, and very few are in my list at least. So I believe he is so versatile. He can obviously take on Test cricket at a role which is in the middle of the order, even though he started opening and doing very well there. He is obviously set the world alight whenever he opens. The power play is an absolute terrorizing place to watch Travis Head if you are part of the opposition camp, but something that you will really enjoy. But what he has brought to the table, I believe, is a certain amount of fearlessness. And sometimes in the cricketing world, you get looked at in negative light a little bit if you're not great off the short ball. But he has shown, he's one of the examples that you don't need to be, it's okay to be not great against the short ball. But as long as you know how to deal with it, you can use other strengths to put pressure back on the opposition. For a long time, two things have always been frowned upon if you're a batter. One is if you fend a short ball. Two is if you put your leg across and keep getting LBW. That is also looked at as a very weakness to have. But more so, the one where you fend short balls is looked at as taboo. They'll immediately like almost pigeonhole you saying, isko tez dala to, he's not great and all of that. There's been a lot of players and it affects them a lot mentally, and most of their careers go in trying to get better at that, and they change a lot of their batting, etc. But what he has done, I think, is almost understand that at times he could get out that way in an awkward looking way, but till the time he is there, he will either use the pace or get in, and then when he is dished out anything within his strength, he will absolutely smack it. So he's a great lesson for a lot of young boys and girls as to what people believe as a perceived weakness is okay, but you need to know what your strengths are and use that a lot more.
That's a great point. But he's somebody who reminds me again, the 90s kid in me was traumatized with what Matthew Hayden did to us. So Head kind of reminds me of that trauma, which I felt as a child. But I've got representation from KKR and RCB in the house. So I have to ask you all, as opponents, if you, Ajinkya, had to choose between Head and Marsh, and if you had to choose between Abhishek Sharma and Head, who would you rather bowl to?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I think Head and Marsh. Abhishek Sharma and Travis Head combined together, very dangerous. Just want to talk about Travis Head. Test cricket, WTC final in 2023, what he did against us. He changed the game in that one session. So, I know we are talking about T20, the World Cup here, but he can actually change the game from anywhere. This format, we know he goes from ball number 1, but that inning, I still remember at Lords, at the Oval, which he got 170 odd. That lunch to tea, that session, he just smacked every bowler, and the game actually changed from there.
It's the all-format player we are talking about, but RCB coach, who would you rather bowl to?
Ideally not both.
But what was it? They had gotten 110 in the power play, I think, last IPL.
They have smacked us once in 2024, if I'm right. My God. I think they got 100 before 6 overs, if I'm right. And Head just kept going. Abhishek at some point felt bad for us and got out, but Head just kept they got 275 or something against us.
Yes, that's when we thought it will be 300 par. That's what
they were
had said. Yeah.
Going towards that. I think they lost a couple of overs where they didn't score probably 20. Other than that, every over.
But against Delhi also 125 in the power play. So we know what they can do. It's just...
And also last year against KKR, they got this SRH max. I think Klaasen though, it wasn't there.
Yes.
But the point is, both of them, ideally, I don't want to be bowling at if I'm an opponent. But if I had to be given a choice, if it's played in Australia, then I wouldn't want to bowl to Head and Marsh. If I'm playing in India, I wouldn't want to bowl to Head and Abhishek.
That's not an answer. Come on, DK.
It's a correct in-between answer, DK. But there's someone today who doesn't have a choice, is Mark Adair. He has to bowl and he has to take all that on his shoulders and bowl and want to get that wicket off Head. But with Mark Adair, DK, you've played him, right?
Yes.
You've played Mark Adair, and he's someone whose numbers have been very impressive, because even up top, he's gotten 56 wickets in the power play. Then he's gotten 70 wickets in the death overs. He's got 140 wickets, and which is the highest wicket taker in this T20 World Cup, but like in all the pacers across the board. So he's very, very impressive. He doesn't seem like this bowler who's coming at you with great pace or, doing something which is very dramatic, but he managed to get those wickets. So what does he do?
For a start, he has good control over his swing. He can take the ball away from the right-hander, also bring it back in quite nicely. He has a very rhythmic, slow-paced run-up, but has got a decent speed, if you want to say, on the ball. But what he is good at is obviously being consistent, and the fact that he's experienced, he's able to deliver in the power play, but he's also pretty good at the death. And he is one of the few Irish cricketers who get opportunities in the franchise leagues as well. He was part of the Gulf Giants team, and he's done quite nicely for them under Andy Flower. So he's a very good utility cricketer, one who can use the conditions. If there's a little bit of swing in the air, then he makes use of it quite nicely. But all I would say is he looks like the best bowler by a distance for Ireland, and that is a worrying thing for them. He needs to come good, because if they don't, then you're looking at a huge total.
Well, as we speak, that super over is almost coming to a close. So they need 7 runs of one ball for South Africa.
Wow. It's a great result for the World Cup if Afghanistan is able to cross the line against South Africa. And also tells you how hard they fight, and it's a testament to their character. Had a tough game against New Zealand. That is the group of death. One big team is going to be knocked out, and if South Africa do end up losing this game and have a tough game against against New Zealand, we have a massive upset on the cards. Let's not go too far, but for the moment, credit to Afghanistan if they've pulled off this heist, because that is a very, very commendable win.
But Ajinkya, do you still call this an upset? We were chatting about this because Afghanistan, well, with the semi-finalists, so we know that they have all the capabilities. Oh, we are going to be here for quite some time because it's gone into a second super over, which is a very, very exciting day in the World Cup. And I'm really happy that we're here together. But would you consider it an upset?
That's what I asked DK. So he said, as for me, I think not an upset if Afghanistan wins the game, because how they improved their cricket last 5-6 years, how they are playing at this moment and these conditions, they are familiar. They have quality spinners in their team. So I feel, personally, if they win, I don't think this is an upset.
Well, we'll still have to wait because there's one more super over coming up, and I'm somebody who's always been rooting for Afghanistan because of their journey and their story. Let's have a look at what happened in that first super over, because there's been a lot of drama there for Afghanistan. 4-6, 1-1, 4-1. And in return, there was that last ball 6 as we were speaking, which made them go into that second super over. DK, what more can one ask for? A double super over on what? The 4th day of the World Cup?
Brilliant. This is what T20 cricket and the World Cup needs. You need games like this which will pull people. Sadly, it's played in Ahmedabad, so it's such a huge ground that even if there's a decent sprinkling of crowd, you don't get to see it. It feels like it's a very sparse crowd out there. But the fact is that this World Cup needed something so positive and entertaining, considering there is so much that's happened outside of the sport in negative light. I'm just very happy. Afghanistan is a team that I dearly always root for, because I feel that they're a team which tries and punches above their weight consistently. They're the New Zealand in town, so to say. And they did well in the World Cup last year, went all the way to the semi-finals before they came up against South Africa on a very bad pitch, sadly, and they couldn't cross the line.
And they had no rest at all, and they were very unhappy about the way the things went.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel bad for them. And some strange reason, I saw a massive rumor of me being their mentor.
Oh, yes.
Which is, I don't know where it emanated from, but clearly it wasn't anywhere close to being factual. But I've always been a big fan of how they have a bigger cause as to why they play this sport. And I like that. You need that at a lot of the times in life and in sport to try and push you harder during those tough moments. And I feel Afghanistan is one of those teams that have that always at the back of their mind.
Ajinkya, we'll just quickly have a look at how this has reached this point, because we were watching the game together till the 19th over. So, of course, South Africa got 187, and in return, Afghanistan got 187 because of what Cricbuzz did, that 84, and then Umarzai with 22. Rashid, for them, unfortunately got out. If he had hung around longer, maybe things would have not gotten to the super over, but he got out at a very crucial time, and it went into that super over. Tristan Stubbs was there at that last ball where he hit a 6 and has taken it into that second super over. So for you, if you have to predict, I know that you've got your prediction game on point yesterday, but if you have to predict this super over, Afghanistan likes that pressure. They like that drama. We know what happened with Gulbuddin and that whole semi-finals. So they're a team which wants to win. They have that hunger. With South Africa, there's always been a tag that's gone with them when there's a pressure game. What do you think is happening in this second super over?
I think for me, this second super over, probably South Africa will win. I think this is their game to win. I mean, before the first super over, I was watching the game. I think they needed 8 runs per over from over number 13 or 14. When Cricbuzz got out, that's where they lost 2 wickets in that over. And from there, somehow they lost that momentum. Rashid Khan playing that knock 12 balls 20 was again, they came in that game. But I thought Afghanistan were going really well to win that game. But now I feel South Africa is in a strong position to win this second super over.
You think the experience is going to help in the second super over, or it's very unpredictable or super over?
I don't know who's bowling. If I knew who was bowling, I could give you a better answer. But
Umarzai is bowling.
Oh.
Yes.
I'll put my money on South Africa.
South Africa. All right, then it's going to be nerve-wracking to see what happens, but is everything that a cricket fan wants. 2 super overs in the World Cup. It doesn't get bigger, it doesn't get better, but we have to do something which... DK, you were on that track yesterday, so maybe you'll be better
you
off.
give me a lot of credit. To be on track is not a great thing. I mean, I was so far away. By the way, yesterday's answer, I didn't even know that a cricketer who existed like that till the name came up. To say I was on track is a nice way to put it. I feel good about it, but being
I
on
think
track.
you should celebrate small victories.
They don't give me anything for that, but okay, I'll celebrate.
Ajinkya, have you tried decoding it at all ever, or you don't bother with the joy factor?
I did during New Zealand series. I did, yeah. Twice I got it.
You're a very clever
got a
man.
pro in the house. Let's have a look at the joy factor question of the day. Only 3 cricketers are a part of this elite yet unfortunate list. Martin Crowe, Mike Powell and Dash. Name the cricketer and what's the connection? Unfortunate list. Golden Ducks.
Martin Crowe's last inning.
They don't give me the answer, unfortunately. If they did, I'd at least look a little smarter.
Last innings.
What was the score?
Why do you say last innings?
Just...
I'm
guessing.
I'm
guessing.
Just generally why I'm asking you like that is because whatever joy they ask has something to do with the game today, about somebody playing, or the day in itself. It must be 30 years ago on the same day, something like that. So I'm just trying to think what is the last, who somebody playing the last game today or like that.
Anyway, we'll leave this decoding to a little later. We have to get to a prediction game. There was a bullseye person in the studio yesterday. There was a winner and another winner day before yesterday. So, Ajinkya.
DK, you start this time.
212.
218.
212, 218. I'm going to still go with 222. I think that's my number for this season.
222?
Yes.
Wow. Season means it includes IPL or just World Cup?
No, just the World Cup. This campaign. Anyway, we'll hope and see that one of us wins this because it's a lot of pressure on us because if we've got lots of guessing games today. So if we lose, then it's going to be problematic. So we have to get something right. The update is that South Africa have gotten 20 runs of the first 5 balls. 21 is what they have managed. So it's going to be an interesting super over. So we should quickly go and watch the remaining bit of the super over. Thank you, Ajinkya. Thank you, DK. We're going to watch the super over with some very nice matkichi usal that Ajinkya has gotten for the Cricbuzz family. And DK is getting us some dessert. So we'll be doing that and watching the super over together. We will join you all at the 10 hour point at the Cricbuzz com box. So we'll see you all there.